Ancient Greece. In 5 centuries, this small collection of city-states produced more geniuses than the world had seen in 5,000 years. Democracy, philosophy, theater, mathematics, medicine, history, and the Olympic Games all were born in Greece. But how did this tiny region at the edge of the Mediterranean become the cradle of Western civilization? The story begins not in Athens, but on the island of Crete. The Minoan civilization, which flourished from 2700 BC, built the first great palaces in Europe. The Palace of Knossos was a sprawling complex of 1,300 rooms, with running water, flush toilets, and elaborate frescoes. The Minoans traded across the Mediterranean, spreading their culture and ideas. After the Minoans came the Mycenaeans, the civilization that Homer immortalized in the Iliad and the Odyssey. These were the Greeks who fought the Trojan War, whether it happened as Homer described or not. They built massive stone fortresses at Mycenaean Tiryns and developed a writing system that evolved into the Greek alphabet. Then came the Dark Age. Around 1200 BC, the Mycenaean palaces were destroyed, and Greece entered a period of decline. Writing disappeared. Trade collapsed. Population shrank. For 400 years, Greece was isolated and impoverished. But from this darkness emerged something extraordinary. Around 800 BC, the Greeks began to recover. They adopted the Phoenician alphabet and added vowels, creating the first true alphabet. They founded colonies across the Mediterranean, from Spain to the Black Sea. And they developed a new form of government that would change the world. Democracy was born in Athens around 508 BC, when the reformer Cleisthenes gave power to the people. Every free male citizen could vote on laws, declare war, and judge criminal cases. It was far from perfect. Women and slaves had no rights, but it was a radical departure from everything that had come before. Athenian democracy reached its peak under Pericles in the 5th century BC. He commissioned the Parthenon, the most perfect example of classical architecture ever built. He sponsored the arts and encouraged philosophy. He turned Athens into the intellectual capital of the world. And what an intellectual capital it was! This was the age of Socrates, who walked the streets of Athens asking questions that nobody could answer. He was ugly, barefoot, and irritating. But his method of questioning, the Socratic method, is still the foundation of Western education. Socrates wrote nothing himself. We know him through his student Plato, who founded the Academy in Athens, the first university in the Western world. Plato's dialogues explored justice, truth, love, and the nature of reality. His theory of forms influenced thinkers for 2,000 years. Then there was Aristotle, who studied at Plato's academy and later founded his own school, the Lyceum. Aristotle wrote about everything: physics, biology, ethics, politics, poetry, and logic. His work was so comprehensive that for centuries, scholars referred to him simply as the philosopher. When medieval European scholars rediscovered Aristotle, it sparked an intellectual revolution. But Greece was not just philosophy. It was also war. In 490 BC, the Persian Empire, the largest the world had ever seen, invaded Greece. The Athenians met them at Marathon, where 10,000 Greeks defeated 25,000 Persians. The messenger who ran from Marathon to Athens to announce the victory inspired the modern marathon race. 10 years later, the Persians returned. This time, a Greek trader showed them a secret path around the Greek position at Thermopylae. 300 Spartans under King Leonidas held the pass for 3 days, buying time for the Greek fleet to assemble. They fought to the last man. The Greeks eventually defeated the Persians at Salamis and Plataea. It was one of the most consequential military victories in history. Had the Persians won, Greek culture might have been extinguished before it could spread its gifts to the world. After the Persian Wars, Athens entered its Golden Age. But this Golden Age was built on the back of an empire. Athens forced other Greek city-states to pay tribute and punished those who resisted. The Delian League, originally formed to defend against Persia, became an Athenian empire. This led to the Peloponnesian War, a 30-year conflict between Athens and Sparta that tore Greece apart. The historian Thucydides chronicled this war in his History of the Peloponnesian War, a masterpiece of political analysis that is still required reading in military academies today. Athens lost the war.
Its walls were destroyed, its navy disbanded, its empire dissolved. But its cultural influence continued to spread. In the north of Greece, a new power was rising. Philip II of Macedon united the Greek states under his rule. When he was assassinated, his son Alexander took the throne. He was 20 years old. In just 12 years, Alexander the Great conquered the largest empire the world had ever seen. He defeated the Persians, conquered Egypt, and marched all the way to India. He founded over 70 cities, spreading Greek language and culture across 3 continents. When Alexander died at 32, his empire fragmented. But the Hellenistic world he created, a fusion of Greek, Egyptian, Persian, and Indian cultures, would influence the world for centuries. Greek science flourished in this period. Euclid wrote the Elements, the most influential mathematics textbook ever written. It remained the standard text for 2,000 years. Archimedes discovered the principles of buoyancy and the lever. He famously said, "Give me a lever long enough and I will move the world." Eratosthenes calculated the circumference of the Earth using only shadows and geometry. He was off by less than 2%. Aristarchus proposed that the Earth orbits the Sun, a theory that would not be accepted for another 1800 years. The Greeks even invented the first analog computer, the Antikythera mechanism, which could predict eclipses and track the movements of the planets with astonishing accuracy. Greek theater gave us tragedy and comedy. Aeschylus, Sophocles, and Euripides explored the darkest corners of the human soul. Aristophanes made audiences laugh with his savage political satire. Their plays are still performed today, 2,500 years later. The Greeks also gave us the Olympic Games. Every 4 years, athletes from across the Greek world gathered at Olympia to compete in foot races, wrestling, boxing, and chariot racing. The Olympics were so important that wars were paused to allow athletes to travel safely. That tradition of peaceful competition lives on today. Greek medicine, pioneered by Hippocrates, rejected the idea that disease was caused by gods or demons. He insisted that illnesses had natural causes and should be treated with observation and logic. Every doctor today takes the Hippocratic Oath. The Greek language became the language of scholarship across the Mediterranean. The New Testament was written in Greek. The Roman elite spoke Greek as well as Latin. When the Roman Empire fell, Greek texts preserved in Constantinople and the Islamic world would later spark the Renaissance. So why did Greece decline? The constant wars between city-states exhausted them. Alexander's empire fragmented. Rome rose, and one by one, the Greek kingdoms fell to the legions. In 146 BC, Greece became a Roman province. But Greece conquered Rome in a different way. As the Roman poet Horace wrote, conquered Greece took captive her savage conqueror and brought the arts to rustic Rome. Roman art, literature, philosophy, and architecture were all deeply influenced by Greek models. The legacy of ancient Greece is all around us. Every time you vote in an election, you are practicing Athenian democracy. Every time you watch a movie or a play, you are watching a form invented by the Greeks. Every time you visit a doctor, you benefit from the Hippocratic tradition. Every time you solve a geometry problem, you are using methods developed by Euclid. The Greeks believed in the power of reason. They believed that the universe was ordered and understandable. They believed that human beings could improve themselves through education and reflection. These ideas were revolutionary in their time, and they remain revolutionary today. Ancient Greece was not perfect. Far from it. They had slavery, treated women as second-class citizens, and fought endless wars. But they also asked the questions that no one had asked before. What is justice? What is the good life? What is the nature of reality? We are still asking those questions. And we are still looking to the Greeks for answers. Thanks for watching Historia 4K. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe and hit the notification bell. New documentaries every week. One of the most remarkable aspects of ancient Greece was the relationship between its city-states. Unlike Egypt or Persia, which were unified empires, Greece was a collection of independent city-states, each with its own government, laws, and identity. Athens was democratic. Sparta was a military oligarchy. Corinth was a commercial hub.
Thebes was a rising power. This diversity created intense competition that drove innovation in every field.
Sparta deserves special attention. Spartan society was entirely organized around warfare. At age 7, boys left their families to begin military training that lasted until they were 30.
They were taught to endure pain, hunger, and hardship without complaint. A Spartan warrior was expected to return from battle with his shield or on it.
Spartan women enjoyed far more freedom than their Athenian counterparts.
They could own property, receive education, and move freely in public. This was because Spartan men were often away on military campaigns, and women needed to manage the estates.
The rivalry between Athens and Sparta defined Greek history for generations. But it was this very rivalry that pushed both city-states to achieve greatness. Competition, not cooperation, was the engine of Greek civilization.
Another enduring legacy of ancient Greece is its art. Greek sculptors perfected the representation of the human body. They moved beyond the stiff, formal styles of earlier civilizations to create figures that seemed alive. The Discobolus, the Venus de Milo, and the Winged Victory of Samothrace are masterpieces of harmony, balance, and naturalism. Greek architecture established the classical orders that would dominate Western building for centuries. The Doric, Ionic, and Corinthian columns are still used in government buildings, banks, and universities around the world. The United States Capitol, the British Museum, and the Brandenburg Gate all echo Greek designs. And then there is the Greek concept of arete, which means excellence or virtue. The Greeks believed that every person had a duty to cultivate their talents and strive for excellence in everything they did. This idea drove their achievements in art, science, philosophy, and athletics. The Greek influence on Western civilization is so deep that we often do not even notice it. Our political systems, our scientific methods, our artistic standards, our philosophical questions all trace back to the small, rocky peninsula at the edge of Europe. The light of ancient Greece has never gone out. It has only grown brighter with time.